So it had to have been after midnight. Sean was passed out in the seat opposite me, his head leaning against the window, bumping as we went down the tracks. His lip was stuffed with dip, chewing tobacco. Copenhagen, specifically. How he chewed this stuff I could never understand. It was fine and bitter and got out from behind your teeth and down your throat. I dipped at the time. Thought it was disgusting. What was more remarkable is that he could fall asleep with the shit in his mouth. The bottle that he held in his hand never fell out, and he never drooled. 125th Street, next stop. Sean was my best friend at the time, and we were on our way back from a Genesis concert we'd seen in Madison Square Garden. We parked the car at the North White Plains train station, which is about 45 minutes up the track. We chugged some beers in the parking lot to get a good buzz on, but I wasn't buzzed anymore. I was just desperately tired. The kind of tired where everything sort of half spins. And I was just holding on, trying not to fall asleep. If we missed the stop, we were fucked. It was 1987 and we were 17. Fordham. Next stop, Fordham. I said that Sean was my best friend at the time because looking back, I can see that I was a serial best friender growing up. And still am, actually. My whole life, I've had one really good, close friend. It started with Billy Hotchkiss in nursery school and kindergarten, and Oliver Macklin in grade school, and Tom Henderson, and then Sean Kennedy in junior high. And Billy Foy in high school, and then Dave Weiss in college, and Doug Barrios, and Mark, whose last name I won't use because it's a little too close for comfort. We actually haven't spoken very much in almost a year. My whole life I've had one really good, close male friend, and now I don't. Mount Vernon West. Next stop, Mount Vernon. It started with my older brother Jeff. See, growing up, I was known as Jeff Johnson's little brother, or Little Johnson. I didn't get the double meaning back then. I was too young. My earliest identity growing up was in relationship to him. He was amazing. The classic older brother, right? He was smart and good looking, taught himself to play the guitar and how to draw. He was an incredible athlete and gorgeous. And I did everything he did. If he played football, I played football. If he joined the swim team, I joined the swim team. If his hair was long, so was mine. I followed him around everywhere he went. If he was hanging out with his friends in our room, I'd barge in, they'd toss me out, and I'd follow him into town, and we'd play, and I'd watch him play video games with his friends at the arcade. He hated it. I mean, he hated it and he loved it. The way that I loved him and hated his fucking guts at the same time. The most lasting impression he's had on me, the thing that's burned into my psyche, is the feeling of him sitting on my chest. That he'd grab me and he'd wrestle and he'd pin me to the ground, and then he'd kneel on my arms so that I couldn't move, and then he'd lean in and he'd lick my face. And then it would start to dry and itch, and I couldn't wipe it off. He'd be like, "Come on, man, why don't you wipe it off?" I couldn't move, and I'd start to scream, and I'd be, "Come on, man, get up!" And I'd start to scream, "Get off! Come on, man, get off!" And then I'd start to get desperate, "Get off! Get off of me!" And he wouldn't get off. And then I'd start to cry and scream, "Please, just get off of me!" And he wouldn't get off. And then I'd seriously start to break down, and he wouldn't get off. He'd be like, "Oh, come on, man, why don't you wipe it off?" And then I'd break down and go silent and go internal, and he still wouldn't get off. And then eventually he'd roll off me like I'd ruined his fun. Oh, come on. I loved him. Mount Vernon West. Next stop. Growing up, One of our favorite pastimes, Jeff and I, was torturing my little sister. When I was 10 and he was 8. When he was 10 and I was 8 and she was 6. She was in the bathroom, going to the bathroom. I don't know what we were thinking, but we just barged into the bathroom and she's sitting there and Jeff grabs a plunger and he sticks it to her stomach, and which was hysterical. But then we couldn't get it off. Like, he's pulling on it and then I grab it, pulling on it, we're pulling around the bathroom. And she's screaming, "Mom!" But Mom's at choir practice and we can't get it off. So finally all three of us are pulling on this plunger and finally it comes off. And she looks down and she screams. And Jeff and I just die laughing. There's this huge hickey on her stomach. Tuckahoe. Next stop, Tuckahoe. When we were younger, maybe 8, he was 8 and I was 6. I used to follow him out to the back of our house where there was a swamp. And we'd take off all of our clothes down to our underwear and our shoes, and we'd wade out into the swamp looking for frogs' eggs and salamanders. And after we were done, our shoes were full of water and muck. We'd pull leeches off each other. Jeff was an amazing snake catcher. He could reach into a rock wall with his bare hands and pull out a snake and fling it into the grass and then chase it down, step on its tail, grab a stick and pin its head to the ground and reach down with his bare hand and grab it behind the back of its neck and then hold it up. And maybe I'm making this up in my head, but I swear the thing was as long as his body. It was amazing. The asshole hero I spent my life chasing. Crestwood. Next stop, Crestwood. The morning my father died, we were all in the living room. This living room was the most formal house of the Victorian house I grew up in. Sleek polyester carpeting wall to wall, plastic covered Ethan Allen couch, an antique love seat, and antique bookshelves filled with books that weren't meant to be read. It was a museum piece. It was the least living room I'd ever been in. I was there, my brother was there, my 3 sisters were there. And we were all crying and sniffling, and I'm staring at the floor. We're all in shock. My mom was there, and my grandma was there. My dad's mom, actually. And the priest and the cop had just left. My mother turns to my brother and puts her hand on his knee, and she says, "Well, I guess you're the man of the house now." He was 14. Everything changed. Hartsdale. Next stop, Hartsdale. For the next 5 years, my brother's response to that statement was a living, breathing, "Fuck you." I remember the day, the moment he declared it over, that he wanted nothing more to do with her or her man of the house bullshit. Growing up, we always shared a room, and originally we had bunk beds, and I had the bottom, and he had the top, and we graduated to twin beds. And I was in mine, probably reading or something, and I don't know what he did, but I hear footsteps running up the stairs. And my mom's screaming, "You come back here, young man!" And he runs into the bedroom and he dives into the bed, and she comes to the door with a wooden spoon in her hand. And she goes over to him and she grabs him like he's gonna beat his ass. She raises her hand up and he turns and he grabs her arm as it comes down. And just the look of shock on her face, because he's stronger than her, and she tries to pull away and she can't. And he reaches up with his other hand and he grabs the wooden spoon. And he looks her right in the eyes and he cracks it in half with his bare hands and he throws it back into her face. Jeff is gone. No one knows where he is. I'm sitting here watching Sean and his dip lip with the spit bottle in his hand, and Jeff's gone. He's stolen his girlfriend's car and he's driven away. No one knows where he is. White Plains. Next stop, White Plains. The year before, he had taken a class trip to Puerto Rico, where he started an affair with his Spanish teacher. My mom found out, and it was this huge secret Catholic school scandal. She told the school, and Elizabeth, the teacher, got fired. My brother blamed my mom, and he left home, and he moved in with her. Eventually, Elizabeth had to leave the country to look for work. And Jeff kept living in her apartment until he graduated. And now something had happened and he'd stolen her car and he was gone. North White Plains, North White Plains. I'm falling asleep. I wake up and the train's moving down the track and everything's flying by the windows, and I know I hear the conductor. It said North White Plains, and I look over and I find him and I said, "Where are we?" And he said, "North White Plains." I said, "Was that stop or is the next stop?" He's like, "No, son, it's the next stop." Okay, all right. I go over to Sean. I start taking, "Sean, wake up. Sean, wake up." He's not waking up. "Sean, wake up." So I grab my jacket and I put it on. "Sean, the next stop." The train pulls into the station. "Sean, wake up." He just pushes me away and mumbles, "Sean, wake up." The doors opened. "Sean!" The bell went. Brrr, "Sean!" I dive out of the doors. When they close behind me, I run up to the window and start patting on the window. "Sean, wake up!" "Sean!" He's not moving at all. The train starts to pull away. "Sean! Meet me at the next stop!" The train pulls away, and he's still asleep. Shit! I run, jump into the parking lot and get in my car. Just follow the train tracks. As I get on the Bronx River Parkway, I can see the red lights of the train in the distance, and they're getting farther and farther away. At the Kensico Dam, there's a roundabout where we usually go up Mount Kisco Road towards home, but the train was heading more north, so I got into Taconic Parkway and started chasing it. At Valhalla, the train station is right off the road, so I got off, and I saw the train pulling out, but the tracks were empty. Fuck! So I got back in the road and headed up towards Mount Pleasant. And when I got to Mount Pleasant, the train station was still empty. Well, the Taconic meets the Sawmill Parkway. The Taconic goes north, and Sawmill Parkway goes east and more north. And I knew that Chappaqua and Mount Kisco were on the Sawmill, but I also knew that there were other train stations back down the line, but I had no idea how to get to them. No idea, so I just started heading towards Chappaqua. When I got to Chappaqua, the station was empty, and no train in sight. Fuck. I mean, he could be back down the line. He could have gotten off at Hawthorne or Pleasantville, or he could be still on the train up at Mount Kisco, Bedford Hills, Katona. How far did this train go? I didn't know. I mean, I knew as far as Brewster North, and that was like, 30, 40 minutes away. Fuck. What's the worst that can happen? I could never see him again. When I saw Jeff at school, when he was still living at Elizabeth's apartment, it was like we were strangers. Actually, it was more like we were like an old couple, who were just deeply intimate at one point. Now we didn't speak to each other anymore. He actually quit playing football, and he got in a job to support himself. And I'd actually made the varsity team that year. It would have been the first time we'd ever played on the same team together. I did see him watching a couple of times behind the fence under the Friday night lights. I hated what he did to Mom. I heard her crying on the phone, talking to Mrs. Selby or Susie Black. She feared for his life. I mean, I knew he'd gotten into cocaine, but maybe there was more. I don't know. And now he was out there making his final escape, and there was nothing I could do, no road I could take to follow him. The truth is, I didn't want to. I was ashamed to be Jeff Johnson's little brother. And I had vowed to be nothing like him. If he went left, I'd go right. If he took off, I'd stay put. No more little Johnson. At Katona, I pulled into the parking lot and there was a lone figure standing on the platform talking on a payphone. I jumped out of the car. "Sean!" He said something on the phone and hung up. Oh God, it was him. I ran up to him on the platform. "Jesus, Sean! What the fuck, dude? Why'd you leave me?" "I didn't fucking leave you. You the fucking fell asleep. I had to get the car. The fuck, I wake up and the conductor's like, your buddy got off a long time ago. The fuck, dude, you're such an asshole. You're an asshole, dude. I'm the one who fucking had to get the car. You fell asleep." He brushed past me, got in the car and slammed the door. Got out of the car and slammed the door. Didn't say a word the whole drive home back to his house. Pulled into his driveway, and the headlights of the car showed up on this huge bay window that looked into his living room. He got out of the car and slammed the door, walked in the car, walked through the living room, and he was gone. My rage built, and then built. Fuck you! you! Fuck you! But there were no tears this time. Then I didn't bleed. My mother paid Elizabeth for the car, and she dropped the charges. Jeff turned up in Indiana at his new girlfriend's house. A month later, he joined the army and was shipped off to Germany. I don't have many men in my life, not the way I used to. I know that this pressure in my chest is not my brother sitting on me anymore. It's not his fault. But I don't know where the roads are anymore and how to follow them, or even if I want to. So I'm here missing my father and my brother and Billy and Oliver and Tom and Sean and Bill and Dave and Doug and Mark. Thanks.